Thank you. Public comments on agenda item. Kevin, do we have any? None? No public comments on agenda items. I'm sorry, can we have a motion to approve the agenda? Motion is second to approve the agenda. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed. I jumped ahead. No public comment. Item 4. Item 5, minutes of the prior meeting. A, July the 13th, 2020 meeting.
Mr. President, I make a motion that we approve the minutes from our prior July 13th, 2020 meeting.
Motion. We have a second.
Third.
A motion is second that we approve the minutes of the July 13th, 2020 meeting. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Item B, July the 14th, 2020 prior meeting.
I make a move that, motion that minutes be approved for July 14th, 2020.
We need a second. A motion and a second that we approve the minutes of the prior meeting, July 14th, 2020. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Item number 6, public hearing relative to fiscal year 2018 LCDBG program amended. Mr. Costello. Item A, open public hearing. I need a motion. A motion that we open the public hearing. Need a second.
I second.
A motion and a second that we open the public hearing concerning fiscal year 2018 LCDBG program amendment. All in favor of opening the public hearing? Aye. All opposed? Public comments on the 2018 LCDBG program amendment. Any public comments while we in open hearing? Mr. Smith.
What exactly is the public hearing relative to fiscal year 2018 LCDBG program amendment? Exactly what is that?
Maurice, you want to talk to me about what that grant was about?
Yes, that's a community development block grant out of the Water Tank Road area, Green Acres Mobile Home, Arthur Road. We did a lot of rehabbing of sewer lines. We installed new lines throughout on the north and south side of the Green Acres Mobile Home Park. Also on the Arthur Road, we completely rebuilt everything. And we put in about 350 to 400 feet of new porcelain. And so all of that area, in the past, a lot of times when we get these torrential rains, it would inundate and flood that lift station on Arthur Road. And so all of this work from that block grant took care of that. Sure.
So would that be the only one? Would that be the only block grant?
That's the only one that we had approved and finished.
Only one what?
That's the only one that we had approved and completed.
Okay.
This is the legal requirements to close out the grant process for that particular block grant. We'll be applying for more in the future.
Any other public comment? Anyone? Can we have a motion to close the public comment? The public hearing? We have a motion, can we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second that we close the public hearing. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Item number 7, property assessment board of review 2020. Need a motion to convene the board of review, which is us, and set public hearing dates. A motion, we have a second. A motion and a second. Are we ready to vote? Any questions on this? We're going to convene at the board of review. All in favor say aye. Aye. All right. Mr. Patel, bring us up to date.
This is just setting the public hearing date for property assessments, and that public hearing date will be at our next regular meeting on September the 8th.
September 8th.
Correct. September 8th. And Mr. McBride is with us. I don't know if he has any comments to make. He was with us. Is he still here?
Sure.
Here, man, you're over
I'm
there.
good. That's right. September 8th.
It'll be quieter than the last one?
I'm sorry.
It'll be quieter than the last one?
I hope so. We shall see.
We'll convene at the Public Review Board. It was September 8th. We will open the public hearing at that time. Am I correct? All right, on September 8th.
Yes, sir. And just for your knowledge, the dates for public exposure on the assessments are from August 17th to August 31st.
That's when the date's gonna run.
Yes, that's when the public, that's the dates for public exposure.
August what now?
17th through the 31st.
They're gonna be in the newspaper, right?
It already is.
Yeah, it's already been,
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Any other questions while we convene at the Board of Review? Item B, we need to recess as the Board of Review and go back to convene at the police jury. I need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Wait.
A motion and a second that we close, recess the Board of Review and reconvene at the Little Parish Police Jury. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed. Thank you. Item A, Board and Commissioner, I'm sorry, Mr. Russell.
No, go ahead, I want to make a motion.
Okay. Board and Commission appointment. Item A, Don Hogan for Greater Ward 1 Waterworks District. Is Mr. Hogan here? Mr. Hogan, like to stand and say a few words?
I'm fine, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we appoint Dr. Hogan as a commissioner for the Greater Ward 1 Water Works District.
second that.
A motion and a second that we appoint Mr. Don Hogan to the Greater Ward 1 Waterworks District. Any questions? All in favor, say aye. All opposed. Item B, Michael Ship, appointed Northeast Delta Human Resource Authority. Is Mr. Ship present? He's not present. We need to table that till the next time, am I correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you. Item number 9, the 2019 audit report from Mr. William R. Horsley, the CPA. Item A, Lincoln Parish Police Jury. I saw him walk in. He's on his way. He got a familiar face with him.
Amen.
Thank you all. Sir, will you introduce that young lady right with you?
This is, Laura something. Laura, I believe everybody's familiar with her. I see a lot
Hey,
of
Laura.
new faces in here, and congratulations to y'all, and new staff.
We're proud to have you two with us tonight.
Thank you.
I believe everybody had a draft financial statement in their packets, right? And that was a draft financial statement. We wanted y'all to have an opportunity to look at it, develop any questions that you might have, and we'd be glad to answer any of those. I always tell everyone that if there's ever any situation that comes about that y'all want further discussion, the only thing you have to do is go to Chris, Doug, and Laura and I will make time to come over and sit down with you individually or as a small group, whatever makes y'all comfortable. I want to thank the staff here. They do a tremendous job every single year that we're over here. They're always accommodating. I especially want to point out Holly. I know she's gone to another endeavor, and we her the best, but she was a lot of help on the audit this year, you know, laughing over her time. And, I want to thank, Chris and Doug, for their cooperation. They are very well versed in what we're talking about, and the, operations of the governmental agencies. They've looked at many governmental financial statements, so they're keenly aware of what's going on. We're here to look at the financial statement for this year, and I always start out with, I want everybody to look at their graph. There's a section on page 5 called MD&A, and it stands for Management Discussion and Analysis, and it's an overview of the whole financial situation of the jury. It's just a recap, and I would like to go through that, not in great detail, but just point out some things, and it will lead you, if you get curious, it will lead you to the financial statement footnotes, which is more detailed explanation. Sometimes it's way more, our requirements are usually way more than we really want sometimes. But, if y'all would turn to page 5 in that graph, is where it starts, so y'all can just kind of follow along and see what I'm really talking about. But first of all, I always like to do this. The police jury received a clean audit, unqualified opinion. Unqualified opinion means that it's the best you can get, and it says the financial statements are presented with standards that are established in all of the United States that we have to go by. And there was no findings in the police jury audit, clean audit, just as we always have, nothing has changed. But on page 5 of that management discussion and analysis, you know, it just starts out with financial highlights. It's got 2 bullet points there. One showing the total cost of the whole police jury, 19 million. Revenues were 18 million. The basic financial statements, government-wide financial statement of funds, and notes for financial statements. That's how they're built, our financial statements. On page 6, it just gives you some background information on definitions of the 3 areas of activities that the police juries in the state have as a general fund, special revenue, capital projects activities. Okay, so that's just kind of the definition pages. On page 7, you can see it starts out in bold there, the jury as a whole. And this shows the net position 2019 versus 2018. And you can see current assets and other assets, 50 million, they're up from last year. And liabilities are up also. Laura and I discussed this, and we toyed with it. That is due to the pension actuaries and how they formulate those entries, and your assets might go up, your liabilities might go down, and depending on how that calculation comes out, it could go either way. And it's not an operating item. We agree with that. It's not really an operating item, like you got accounts payable and you owe $1 million. That's not how that works. But it will make your financial statement in some areas, assets and liabilities go up and down.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Did they change the formulation of the actuary to make the access go up, or did they decrease? What happened that went up, do we know?
There you go.
It was their assumptions in the actuary tables.
And earnings and that type of thing. It goes up and down.
Their growth rate, they assume in their model they use to give us the entries that we make that show up here, their percentages change every year, and this year they went down significantly.
nationwide chain.
Yes, sir, and actuary, they don't update them every year, they update their actuary tables as far as, number of participants and average age of participants every third year. And this was that third year where they completely updated their actuarial tables. And so that's, we expect to see a big shift on that third year in
I
location.
think you could probably look at every police jury in the state and compare last year to this year, and it would probably mirror everywhere. Because they all got some assumptions, earnings and that kind of thing.
Thank you.
Okay. That's just a broad category that you have in the net position. And page 8 breaks down those numbers a little bit further, where you can see the specific areas that you have. At the top of this table, it shows revenues and bottom functions and program expenses. And we're just looking for, having and compare them from 19 to 18, like program revenue, charge for services is up about $103,000. Capital and operating capital grants is down about $1.6 million. Severance was in that, and everybody knew severance was $250,000 this year. I think everybody was aware of what was done. And we discussed this last year. This is half, it was about half. Property taxes, they are up $841,000 over 18. And the library village went up, part of that, and then there was multiple businesses added in town that contributed to it. Sales tax, stayed pretty flat. It was down $172,000. $4,700,000 last year, it was $4,582,000 this year. Other revenues was up $751,000, and that was primarily from FEMA generator grant. Okay. Total revenues for the year were up about $167,000. You might be asking the question, that well, service went down so much. How was such a small change? Well, property taxes really offset what the severance was. In the expense section is pension, as a result of what the pension actuary was. It was up $3,270,000. And in public safety, public safety was $808,000 for 19, and it was $1,669,000 in 18, and that's due to the no surplus transfer to the courthouse project. So the overall expenses are up $2,750,000. Our net position did not change that much. Okay, let's see. On page 9, this is showing the governmental activities and what made up those numbers. Like I said, 19,105,000 versus 16,353,000 is comparison. Now on page 10, shows you capital assets and their breakdown, land, buildings, machinery, equipment. Really haven't changed that much, and that's primarily due to depreciation and purchasing something. Police year had $825,000 of long-term debt, opposed to $1,401,000 last year. They paid off the complex 2 county debt. The other one, pardon?
question, Mr. Hussey, at this point concerning the Lincoln Parish Police Bureau annual budget? Anyone have any questions?
Do we need to make a motion to approve, to accept that report?
I don't think so.
Okay.
You will when I give you the final report. This is in draft form, or left in draft form in case there was a little typo or there was an issue. We will be, just so no question in the next week or so, we have to accept the issue of financial statement because of the COVID-19 problem. And we will be putting books together, bound books of the financial statement. Everything that you have here will be in that book. And we will send these over here to you, and they can, Chris can pass them out at the next jury meeting. We all always have it for you for reference. But we will be getting those back to you. Same thing with the help center.
I do have one question before we,
Mr. Ryder?
I know it's in there, and I read it somewhere, but what is our total indebtedness on the old county market building?
825.
I couldn't remember exactly what, I remember reading it in there, I didn't know if it was, total indebtedness.
But we just paid it off.
Just paid that,
Yes, sir.
it was, yeah, okay,
Well, we paid it off.
right.
Mr. Russell, did we answer your question about the motion?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Item B, humanitarian enterprises.
Yeah, same thing on the, you have a graph of that, and I'm gonna do the same thing, because take a moment for the, health center. Health center had a clean audit, unqualified opinion. They had some findings this past year, but I believe everybody knows what those were, and there was a plan set in place, and those have all been directed, I believe, to everybody's satisfaction, especially our satisfaction as auditors. It's good. It's good to go. So on page, page 5, we start on page 4. It's the same thing at the beginning, and it shows at the bottom of the page, the health center as a whole, beginning that position, 2019 was a negative 34,000, and it ended with a negative 27,700. So it was positive, somewhat positive for the year versus last year, 19,900. The total revenue on page 5 was the revenue, grant receipts, transportation fares, your grants, 96% of your total revenue, which was 517,000 versus 539,000 last year. And in the expenditures, 100% of all health and welfare, as you know, it was 530,000 this year and 487,000 last year.
When you say last year, you mean in 2018, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry. As an accountant, we're always a year behind. We never started on the year till after October the 15th. And everybody has to file their tax returns.
Yeah.
And on the bottom of page 5 is listing all the assets that are owned, the additions and disposals. And that's about it for the health center. And the police jury. Again, we really appreciate everything that everybody's done, and have any questions on this, health center would do the same thing, we come over anytime to discuss any problems or anything like that. The phone call away, sometimes that doesn't work. It's just better to sit down and have an open discussion about something. We'll be glad to do that.
Mr. Hyde,
Yes, sir.
any questions? I know you all work with them on it, and they're compiling and everything. Any questions that you need to ask me?
Nothing I can think of. I'd just like to say, thank you guys for
bending over backwards and jumping through fire heat to help us help you. I think we worked well together in large part due to the accommodations that they made for us. And I'd just like to vocalize that. But other than that, I don't have anything to offer. Mr. Pastel?
No, I appreciate it. They're always great to work with, and we appreciate the work they do for us on behalf of Lincoln Parish taxpayers. I do want to just express my appreciation to Mr. Dowling and his staff at the Health Agency, working out some of the issues that we've had in the past. They've worked very hard over there to rectify those issues, and I just want to recognize them for all the hard work they put in working with the staff at the police jury office to make sure they're on the right track over there.
Well, I was glad to hear him say that the issues and findings from 18 have been corrected, and they're not showing up in 19, so that was a great feel-good moment, so thank you. And thank the staff for fixing all that.
That's where you start.
Yeah, so thank the staff for doing that. And we have no findings on the jury side and no findings on the health agency side.
Well, health agents, we did have some findings, but they were all incorrect.
Right.
It didn't affect our opinion at all. They're just duly noted.
Okay.
Now, next year in the financial statement, they will be there again, but it will show that they have been corrected and.
Right.
And I don't anticipate there'd be anything next year.
We don't need it. Anyone have any questions? Again, thank you all. Laura, good to see you.
Yes, thank you, Dave.
Yeah, good to see you. Thank you all as always. Item 10, adoption of ordinance. Number 8, provide for the sale of adjudicated property, number 181, 838, 391, 83, in the amount of $4,573.72, and further providing with respect thereof. Yes.
This was off of Haven Road, which is right north of Grambling, city limits, off the parish, off of our road. It did sell, there was only one bidder. So it sold for the minimum price. And it was at 1 acre lot. So it was sold to Rainbow Brook. To Rainbow Brook. It's straight there.
Is this the piece of property between the lots?
I believe so. It's the 1 acre block right there.
Any other questions for Kevin? Do we have a motion to adopt that ordinance in item 8? A motion is second that we adopt ordinance in item 8, provide for the sale of adjudicated property, number 181, 838, 391, 83, in the amount of $4,573.72, and further providing with respect thereof. We have a motion and a second. Any questions? Are we ready to vote? All in favor of adoption ordinance 8? Aye. All opposed? I think that was unanimous, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Item B, providing for the sale of adjudicated property number 301, 825, 05060, in the amount of $2,010, and further providing with respect thereof. Ms. Carey.
This is 144 Chestnut in the Blueberry Hill subdivision. It is 0.14 acres, and it was sold, again, the minimum bid, there was only one bidder as well,
Right.
Mr. Jared Spiller.
Can we have a motion to adopt that ordinance, item B? A motion and a second that we adopt ordinance B, providing for the sale of adjudicated property, number 301, 825, 05060, in the amount of $2,010, and further providing with respect thereof. Any questions? Are we ready to vote? Mr. Smith?
Is it, proper to sell the property before it's adjudicated?
It's already been adjudicated.
It's been adjudicated before tonight?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Item number 11, declare item as surplus and authorize advertisement for bid and the list included. Mr. Costello.
Yes, sir, you found a list in your packet of surplus items that we're clearing house. And Ms. Webb is leading the charge. Any comments on any of these items? Ms. Webb? Nope. Okay.
This is just, Ms. Webb did a whole bunch of work. We put them in a whole bunch of lots, 44 of them. And there's a lot of stuff to be cleaned out of our.
It's accumulation of about 50 years worth of furniture.
Okay.
It's like old timber books.
Okay.
Tell your friends.
Yeah, tell everyone. Do we need a motion to that effect to declare?
Yes.
Can we have a motion to declare the item listed by our purchasing agent and staff? A motion and a second, please.
So moved.
A motion
All right.
and a second. We have any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Item number 12, authorize approval for Ruston Quick Trip Project, determination and release of servitude and restriction agreement. Mr. Costello.
Yes, sir. This is one last piece of legal paperwork necessary for the Quick Trip project. This is just one that they sent us after the last meeting. Mr. Jones, I don't know if you can elaborate on what this has to do with. This is some legal jargon I'm not familiar with, but termination and release of servitude and restriction.
I think it was a servitude that was granted in favor of the library. I'm not sure exactly what it allowed them to do, but I don't think it's anything that y'all would not want to approve to make this sale go through.
I agree. All right. So we need a motion to approve for that termination, release of servitude and restriction concerning the Ruston Quick Trip project. Do we have a motion and a second?
Motion.
A motion by Mr. Matt. Second. Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Item number 13, resolution. Item A, authorizing the president to execute annual public housing authority certification of compliance. Mr. Costello.
Yes, sir. This is something that this body does every year. This is part of our Fair Housing Act certification. Basically here it helps us put us in conformity with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Fair Housing Act, Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, and Title II of the American with Disabilities Act of 1990, and lays out our fair housing program certifications, making sure that we're in compliance.
Have you had a chance to get with those, that contractor that we parceled it out to you with this Section 8? Have you been able to reach? Have you had a chance to talk to them?
Absolutely.
And this where this will come from, they pass it on to us if we own it, right?
Yes, sir. Yes. This is something we have to do every year to be in compliance with federal law.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
And everything well is over there?
We're working on some things, but we're gonna get there.
Okay.
Yes, sir. We're good overall. Yes.
All right. For the jurors that do not know, Lincoln Parish have Section 8 housing, but we don't manage it. We contract it out to another company, but it still belongs to us, and we have to comply with government regulations. But they have everything for us on our behalf. We don't manage what they do, but we do have Section 8 housing outside the city limits in Lincoln Parish, for those who do not know. And therefore, this is concerning the fair house.
I have a question.
It's what?
Do we pay any fees to them for doing that?
Yes.
Yes.
And that's nationwide, everybody. Though for those entities, government entities that do not, they contract out, that's high.
Yes, so we don't pay them anything directly. The way it works is the Office of Housing and Urban Development pays whoever administers the program, and they pay us the proceeds of what they get paid.
That's correct.
So, but we don't pay them anything directly.
It's not just coming out of our budget.
No,
Correct.
No jury money.
we just get less from HUD since the administrative fees flow through them.
Right.
But we have no expenses associated with the program either. It's a real big win for us.
That's correct.
We actually make money on the program.
All right. Do we have a motion in a second already?
No, sir.
Can we have a motion to authorize the president to execute that public housing authority certification?
I make a motion that we authorize the president to execute the annual public housing authority certification of compliance.
A motion, do we have a second?
A second.
Is there any questions? All in favor say aye. Item B, authorize the administrator to enter into an agreement with Big Truck Rental for a front loader for the solid waste department. Mr. Postel.
Yes, sir. I'm going to defer here to Mr. Outley and let him tell him about the condition of our situation with our collection trucks.
Okay. We added a fourth truck into our daily usage to run our dumpster routes. This will enable us to run every dumpster every day, and we're even easing into weekend usage. But to have 4 trucks, that fourth truck is actually a spare truck. It's not going to hold up for use every day. It's a 2011 with 245,000 miles on it. So it's down more than it's on, so we're not going to be able to keep 4 trucks up if we use that one. So we'll want to replace that one and let that continue to be a spare.
And y'all run the dumpsters every day?
If we have those 4 trucks, that's what we're trying to start doing, even some on weekends.
Mr. Russell.
Yes.
You all are running at unusual hours.
Mhm.
I've seen you out early in the morning.
Yes, if a truck is down, we even have to start earlier because 2 people have to take turns with 1 truck. One person go out and get through with it. That's the condition that bad truck is in.
Does that work for you all to come out that early?
Well, early, as a routine is 5, like on Mondays and Fridays, we come in and start at 5 in the morning. If we have a truck down and somebody has to double on 1 truck, maybe start at 3.
Yeah.
One person gets through,
I
then
saw
another person gets
really
through.
early one morning picking
Yeah,
up.
What time do
but
you
the
get up?
city, excuse me,
What time do you get up?
it's 5 to 1.
To 1
When they
o'clock?
start at 5, yes.
Mr. Scribe.
So how long we planning on renting this truck, do we know?
Probably indefinitely, but what we found with these trucks is that these particular trucks are prone to a lot of repair issues. And the last one we bought has been in the shop almost as much as it's been on the road. And it's not because of the truck itself, it's because of some of the specialty equipment that they do on the aftermarket end. So it's, in the long run, it's cheaper to rent them because then you don't have to pay the maintenance on them.
So this truck isn't in use now? It's, huh?
We're asking for permission to rent, long-term rental one.
Yeah, this is to authorize that we enter agreement to rent this Ford truck.
I'd like to make that motion.
I'll second. A motion and a second. How much is it? A month, Mr. Postel, Carrie?
It's around $7,600 a month.
$7,600.
Yes, sir. A brand new one's about $260,000.
To buy a new,
Yes, sir.
$260,000.
Around about, the last one we purchased was in 2018, it was $250,000. And they
And
go
this,
up,
and this $7,600 a month for how long?
Indefinitely.
Yeah.
Don't know.
Indefinitely till they wear out?
It's gotta be a contract.
It's
it's a month to month.
It's month to month on these.
Month to
So
month.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
we'll just keep this Ford truck. And the good thing about this one is when this truck starts to have problems, they'll take this one back and bring us a new one.
And we can keep operating.
That's right.
We want
And we
this-
keep it new one.
Mr. Crank.
One is in good condition through this rental process.
Right, Mr. Crank.
About how long does it take to wear one of these trucks out? If we bought a new one today, about how many years would it take you to wear it out?
Well, it depends on what you call wear it out.
Well,
The
to
one-
the point where y'all want to get rid of it and trade it in. I mean, realistically, where it needs to go, because it's
The
broken.
repairs alone will cost money.
Yeah, 5 years, is a good time to get rid of one. It won't be worn out.
But it'd be
time to start having more and more problems.
Rid of it.
The one we're having some trouble with now was purchased
The problem is-
June the 4th of 2018.
Say that again.
The newest one that we're having trouble now was purchased on June the 4th of 2018.
Just, so it's.
How many miles on that truck?
That one has 50,000, 51,000.
Okay. Any other question? Mr. Cram, did that answer your question?
Yeah, only issue I see, I'm not against making sure this works right, 'cause I want the dumpster as much as anybody does to get this big, to get trucks running on the road, is that in 3 years of the rental, we can pay for a truck. The truck's only run for 5 years, we got 2 years worth of it, we're still renting a truck we could have already paid for. Now, if it's like this truck,
Plus
plus
for
just
pay.
bought, that the DEF system on it screwed up so bad, like a lot of them are now, this new DEF fluid that come out with, that it's in the shop all the time, then that may outweigh the other 2 years worth.
That's the case.
That's what the case.
And I think that's where we are.
And the turnaround, if something goes wrong with the rental, the turnaround on a new one is 3 days.
3 days, and that's another truck.
Yes.
Okay,
They'll supply another one within that time.
right, okay, all right, I'm good with it.
All right. Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Cram. Are we ready to vote?
Are y'all voting on a rental term or no?
We're
Do
voting,
it month to month.
Resolution.
we're voting to enter, into agreement with every man.
Month to month.
The agreement is that it's going to be month to month.
Yes.
We good or we okay? All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Item 14, request from assistance for assistance, the town of Dubai, Mr. Pastel.
This is an item that's already been dealt with, but we're coming to you after the fact to get your official okay on it. We had a situation up there where they had a sinking spot in the middle of the street. The highway crew up there filled that hole and also helped them replace a cross drain. They purchased the culvert, we simply installed it for them.
So that's already taken care
Already
of?
taken care of.
All right.
Mr. President, I make that motion.
A second.
We, assist, that it was okay to assist the town of Dubai.
I second that motion.
All right, it's a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Item 15, Mr. Hyde.
Yes, sir. Y'all heard enough of me tonight. I will be as brief as possible. Let's start at the general fund. My projected general fund deficit at this point in the year is $155,000, which is only $27,000 more than we budgeted at the beginning of the year. So in terms of financial impact, what's transpired over the last 7 months, I think the best way that I could quantify it, I'd say we're in as good a shape as we could expect to be. We collected 68% of our budgeted revenue, only being 58% of the way through the year. The difference there is the one outlier, which is the fire rebate revenue. $72 per structure per year that we collect in fire rebate. We got that check already. Dispersed it to local fire agencies. And then the general fund's expenses year to date are 57% roughly of the budgeted expenses, 58% through the year. So we're right on the mark there. Solid waste disposal revenue. Sales tax collections is up 24% from last month. And if you remember last month, it was up about 40% from the prior month. So we're almost to a point of total recovery in terms of gross sales and sales tax collections between months across years. We're at a very, very small negative number on that ratio. The distributions to the agencies that participate in the solid waste operation with us have not yet been made this month. Those are done sometime between the 10th and the 15th, and it's just a little early. But that will be done soon, but it should be roughly 24% more than it was last month. Moving on to Parks and Rec, we know hotel and motel tax has been in the tank, but the collections for the month of July are 16% of the collections for the entire year, which is twice what we would expect to collect for any other month. So it's trending up too. The revenue from admissions is at 97% of the amount that we budgeted through the year. So through 7 months, we've collected almost all of what we expected to get for admissions. James made some improvements out at the park. We got some new campsites. We're seeing lots of people on campus that go to Disney World. And there's a lot of people going through the gate out there. So that's more than making up for the shortfall that we've seen in the hotel and motel tax. They've collected 60% of their budgeted revenue through the first 7 months of the year, which is just over the 58% mark you would expect. And so even given the shortfall in the hotel and motel tax, I think we're in pretty good shape there. And other than that, I don't have anything significant to report. I'll be glad to answer any questions anyone may have.
I don't have any from Mr. Anyone have any questions for Mr. Hyde on the budget to actual? I just got one question to James. With the virus situation,
Yes, sir.
were there more people stopping, not staying at hotels and staying there instead?
Yes, sir. The campground, we've seen a definite increase. People are, they're contained in their own unit, and we saw an increase in that. We saw, as he was saying, as far as admissions were, 97, 98% at this point. We've seen a great increase in families and people coming out and using the park. The traffic I've seen on the trails, they are spacing. You got 11 miles. It's amazing. It's been in a good way to see the families out there using the park.
Great. Good. Thank you.
Yes.
Item number 16, Finance Committee report, item A, Finance, Mr. Franklin.
Yes, sir, thank you. The Finance Committee met at 6 p.m. It was mainly a meeting of discussion and education and familiarization on rolling villages forward versus what we call a no-roll. I have a specific number. You can write these down to take with you over the month, but the difference in a roll forward and a no-roll in the general fund is $6,000 and $6,003. That's the difference. If we roll forward, we would gain $6,000. On the road construction and road maintenance, you're looking at $18,538 for a total of $24,541 total across the everything. So that would be the increase. If we roll forward. If we no roll, then we just like we are. No harm, no gain, we just keep driving.
And we roll forward, the people would not pay any more taxes.
If you no roll, the people don't pay taxes. If you forward roll or roll forward, the people would pay
that 24.
About $1
you would divide it
per year.
About $1 person or less a year.
Right.
Okay.
And that's based on a tax assessment this year that was very, very minimal. So we saw very little increase. So therefore, that's why it's only 24,000. That's on those two. Then we talked about, and I gotta say, I'm as much confused as a lot of people on this topic. I tried to do the best I could. If you've got any questions, please call me. Talk to me. I would love to go over to Chris and I for sure. The library, we talked about library, and we talked about the difference between operating fund, and we talked about the bond fund or the building fund that's going to be paid off, and as one option on how do we fix that $500,000 shortfall because the millage is being stopped, and we still have that much more to pay through the rest of the 21. So take that back with you. The proposal, the one proposal that was come up with was to roll their operating fund by 0.5 down and raise the bond fund up 0.5, which would make the difference up and would be no cost to the taxpayers. And also pay that bond, pay that building off, and the next year we could go back to the way it was.
And we can't exceed the amount to pay it off anyway, am I correct?
That's right. You cannot exceed, because
April,
as Chris was telling me, if we over $1,
we gotta give it back.
we gotta send a check across the parish to every resident. I don't know how you do it, but I mean, it would cost us thousands of dollars just to do that process.
So the 0.5 would end at the point that the bond gets paid off. That's the end of it.
That's right. That's right, Terry?
We
Yeah. Well, actually, we would collect it this year.
Right,
We collected this year, paid off in April.
right. I think 1.05 would leave us, with a deficit in the bond fund and on the hook for about $1,400.
You can't get no closer than that.
I did my best.
So,
I don't want to
That's
get
not
to
bad.
understand.
yeah, that's not bad, but, we open to suggestions, so that's why we called this meeting tonight, was to present all of this for understanding and knowledge, so now we can go back, talk about it, chew on it, because when we come back next month, we'll make a decision. I'd like to make this in the form of a motion to be accepted by the jury.
Got a motion? Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion second, that we accept the finance committee report. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Item B, Personnel and Benefits Committee, met at 6:30, Ms. Hunter.
Personnel and Benefit Committee met at 6:30 p.m. this evening. And Tanya went over with us with the procedures, hiring procedures for all jobs here at Lincoln Parish Police Jury. There were only one error, one miss, one correction. There was company. We're gonna insert jury, and these were drafts, and she's gonna get the original forms back to us later on to look at. I present this in form of a motion.
Second.
A motion and a second, that we receive and accept the Personnel and Benefits Committee report. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. All right. Item 17, other business. Mr. Pascal, travel,
No travel, sir.
any reports from any department head?
Gentlemen?
All right.
All right, I'm gonna, if it's okay with you, Ms. Henderson, I'm gonna do my report during this time. Is that okay with you?
Yes, sir.
I have a couple items to report. As you know, we have a continuing issue with our wood waste burner, with our contractor, Mr. Crochet. Having conversations with Mr. Outley and with Mr. Cranford as being chair of the Solid Waste Committee, we have decided to pause that contract because he is in violation of the contract. We consulted with Mr. Jones. We cannot get out of the contract at this time, but we can pause the contract until he gets back into compliance. We have an excess of wood waste on the ground. The contract calls for no more than 200 tons on the ground at any time, and we are far, far in excess of that. So I have sent him a letter as of today telling him that we are pausing that contract, that we will not be making any payments to him until we can get that wood waste hauled out. Murphy Brothers is going to start hauling, hopefully within the next few days, to another facility, and we'll pay them out of the money that we'd be normally paying Mr. Crochet until we can get that situation back into compliance.
But it get back down to a maximum of 200 tons,
Yes, sir.
do his kick back in?
It does, according to the contract, it does. Now, I'm just going to tell you, that may take a while, and he may get real impatient, so we'll just see how that plays out.
But the amount that we pay Murphy Brothers won't exceed what we're gonna be paying him with it.
If it does, the contract says that Mr. Crochet has to pay the excess.
How do you get him to pay?
It's a good question. but it's in the contract. I don't think it will, for what it's worth. I don't think it will pay Murphy Brothers more than what we're paying Mr. Crochet. But if it does, the contract does say that he's responsible for paying that excess.
But do they know how much we paying Mr. Crochet?
I've not had that discussion with them, but I've seen what I know what they did last time, how much it cost, how long it took them, so I have a pretty good idea how much it's gonna cost to get this done.
Mr. Russell?
At some point in time, could we end our relationship with Mr. Croce?
The contract does not really have an elimination clause for this contract. It simply says that we pause the contract and give him the opportunity to get back into compliance, or that we, in this case, take measures to get him back into compliance and simply don't pay him in that process. But then at that point where the situation is back into compliance, then the contract goes back into effect.
At some point in time, we need to consider doing exactly what we did with trash hauling. We saved ourselves more than 50 cents on the dollar by hauling the trash ourselves. We have the capability of doing that ourselves.
Absolutely. And I think that's our,
for less money.
yes, sir. I think that's our goal. As soon as we can get to the end of this contract, that's certainly our goal.
How long does this contract last?
August of 2022 is the end of
Okay.
the contract date. But I think Mr. Crochet is losing steam. And maybe if he doesn't get any money for quite a while, he'll decide to pack up and go home.
Okay. Mr. Kramer?
I was just gonna say, he did offer us a buyout to buy his wore out equipment up there for unbelievably high price, so we
Yeah.
just passed on that. He did offer us a way, to buy him out.
Yeah, well, those will need for us to buy war out. Ms. Pastel?
One other item, just for your edification here, the deputies that serve as courthouse security will soon be taking temperatures for visitors that enter the building. The sheriff has helped us out on this by allowing that to happen. And the reason that we're going to be doing that is not just only for the safety of folks of our courthouse staff as they are dealing with the public, but also by doing so, this allows us to get CARES Act reimbursement for the cost of that courthouse security as those funds are available.
Oh, good. All right.
That's all.
That's it? Any correspondence?
No correspondence.
Public comment? Mr. Smith?
In the past, the police jury has taken the committee's report, and they have gone on and bought or spent or acted upon that report without it ever coming back to the jury. And I only know of 2 times that it was different, and that was coming from Skip's committee and now coming from Frank's committee. It's going to be taken up at the next meeting and voted upon. Now, and I guess my question is, when a report is given, when the jury votes on it, does that give the right then to do whatever is in the report? Or does it have to come back to the jury? For instance, you're gonna buy a 2-ton duty, and it goes to the committee. The committee recommends that this happen. And somebody's gonna make a motion that we accept this report. Now, do you take that report and what's in it and move forward? No. Or does that come back to the jury for a vote to spend that money?
Mr. Russell?
It does not get approved until the next 30 days when it's voted on, the minutes of
That's
the
what I'm
meeting.
trying to get cleared up, because I've only seen it happen 2 times. That was tonight and from your committee. So when the report is presented, it's just being accepted. Thank you.
Not finally approved for 30 days.
Okay.
Council, we good with that?
Yeah, but we need to be careful when a motion is made based on the committee's report. If the motion is just, let's just accept their report, that's one thing. If the motion is we move to accept their recommendation, that means something different.
The recommendation can mean action got to take place.
If the recommendation is let's buy a tractor, and you say, let's just accept that report. The report is that they recommended that we buy a tractor. No, you can't buy a tractor. If you accept the recommendation that they buy a tractor, then the buying of the tractor moves forward.
I have a question. What if the committee report has more than one item? Let's say the committee report has 3 items, and there's one item that we don't accept. How do we do that?
You vote no.
You don't approve the
You don't
minutes.
We don't approve the whole thing?
No, then you need to be careful however the motion is worded. If the motion is, let's accept the entire recommendation, when it comes time for discussion, you can say, hey, I'm okay with number 1 and 2, but I'm not okay with 3, so I'm voting against this motion. But if the motion carries, all 3 are approved.
That's correct.
If it doesn't carry, then somebody else can make a motion that you do them one at a time.
Okay. All right, thank you. Anything else? Anyone? Thank you. Thank you. Anyone? No? Anything? Meeting adjourned.